I
Well,
drive by your
yeah,
house
let's
and I
get
see a
rolling.
retaining wall.
Yeah. Well, if you want, stop by sometime and take a closer look at it. All right. So yesterday or 2 days ago, got to meet the great John Maxwell here. I posted that on there, but he said this, which I thought was really, really cool. So I'll definitely be using it. And because now I heard John Maxwell say it, it has more authority, right? Anyone who doesn't know who John Maxwell is, a big author and has tons of leadership books and stuff like that. But he said on stage there that AI will make a lazy person lazier and a smart person smarter. And I just thought that was a perfect little summation of what AI has the ability to do for all of us. So I really like that. The big one we got here, anyone who's done any of the development stuff, Cursor 2.0 came out. So Cursor 2.0 has quite a bit of features. My brother Tim would move over to CLI, and if you're at the AI workshop, we did a lot with Cursor, but 2.0 is probably twice as good as the previous one. It allows you to spawn sub agents off. It does a project manager for you. It has its own programming in there, and it has a browser built within the coding IDE. So you can go ahead and actually do the software development right inside there. I may at the end of the meeting jump into that if we run out of stuff to talk about, because it gets a little time intensive and geeky, but it does some really cool stuff. So Gemini, a couple, I went and did just some simple image generation here, but it's gotten quite good. If you've done any image or video generation out of this, like here, I'll add a little drag into the background. And someone asked me if my picture with John Maxwell was fake. I was like, no, but here, I made this fake one. So put Abe Lincoln in the back as well. And one of the big things I thought was from a progress perspective, and we can use this in marketing, but like if you look at the wing is behind this tree here. It's in front of the dock. It's behind the four-wheeler of my daughter. So it understands the depth of the image and the object inside of it and inserts the objects right inside from that perspective. So that's pretty impressive. So it's self-cut out. Like normally if you do any of this stuff like this, you can see a little white line. Like if you ever done any image generation on your own, you'd have to cut this out or bring this forward, and it did a really good job on that.
One of the big things I found with Gemini right now that stands out is a lot of the design aspects. So like if you're in an office space and let's just say you want to see what a certain cabinet looks like, you can put it into a prompt. If you had a link to a particular product, I found it populate it like within your image for you and everything. One of the things I did when I was in an office, we were just checking it out here, see if I can find it here. But yeah, I can't find it right now, but it's quite impressive what Gemini has been able to do. And I've tried it in like pubs where it said like put a monitor on the wall, and it put a monitor on the wall that would have fit pretty close to what the format was. And yeah, I think the image generation and the conceptualization of like ideas, especially like outside landscaping, is really stepped up with Gemini.
It really has. And there's a lot of talk that Gemini 3.0 is supposed to be coming out here. I was hoping it'd be out before this meeting so we could play with it a little bit, but it hasn't released yet. So probably the next week or two, we'll see Gemini 3.0, which should be another pretty large step forward on the AI model. So
here, I'll show this real quick. I was out at a golf course, and they had this putting green here, and I was like, what would it look like having a little like water feature alongside the edge there? And it put in a pretty nice water feature there along that putting green. And then like actually I want it moved to the far end. Oh, that's a little small. To make it a little larger, and if you're doing some design work, you're a landscaping company or in the trades, being able to do that kind of visualization on the fly is going to be quite useful. So
That it is. No, in the business world, a way that I use this a lot is if I'm doing any presentation, I'll use it to make up a number of quick images that are highly contextually relevant. Like I was speaking at the before I went up north there, I was speaking at the UWL at one of their groups that they had there, and just created a couple images for the presentation as well. So I basically just took my CPA. I went and spoke at the Wisconsin CPA Association. I just took that presentation, added a couple of contextual images for the group I was talking about. It went through the same content, but it looks like it's highly customized for them. Of course, I changed out a couple of the examples that I'm giving, but 90% was the same with those images. And it just feels like a brand new talk, basically. And so with very minimal effort, I was able to get that going pretty quick.
Yeah, it's been a game changer for me too. That's the first one that can figure out a tire, someone holding a tire without putting their leg through it or arm through it or whatever way.
Yep.
So pretty
Yeah,
simple.
you do safety there at about,
Yeah.
right?
So it's kind of hard. I mean, tire safety, there's not a lot of like stock photos online. So it's hard to get accurate stuff, but Gemini is actually pretty good. I can put in like our uniform and everything, and it'll make the person have everything it wants. So
Well, actually, that works well with my next thing I want to show. Share my screen here first. All right. Hold on, the sun's killing me here. Can't see my screen. I'm actually going to close these curtains here. There, that's way better for me. So if you've ever used Canva before, and we use Canva a lot for almost all our stuff, they added a bunch of these tools. So you can do booking.com in here, Coursera, Expedia, and have it actually work with those applications. So I could say, I am working with, how do you spell Bauer?
Bauer.
I was close-ish. I want a safety postcard that shows someone putting a big semi-truck tire on and says, what's a safety thing that you would want?
Use your jack stand.
And this will actually connect right into Canva, design it, and get it so I could print postcards right out of Canva. So in a matter of like 3 seconds, I get it designed and ready to go. Or if you're going on a trip, it'll go to booking.com and start using booking for you.
So how do you build in those connections again?
How do I what?
How do you build in those connections again?
If you go settings,
Settings,
app
apps and
connect.
Okay.
Yep. So these are all the apps they have ready to go.
Oh.
And they're adding more and more. So they want to create like a Microsoft app. So a monetization strategy, I'm guessing of theirs, is that if they lead you to use Asana, for example, well, they're going to want Asana to pay them a little, money. So anyway, here's one, use your jack stands. And there's the back of it, prioritize safety.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Even kind of uses our font.
Yes.
Wow. It's a
So let's
big
say I
ass
like
tire,
this
though.
one, right? I can click open in Canva. And then I can actually start editing it. So unlike previous image generation where it creates an image, if you don't like it, you get to roll the dice again and hope that it comes close, right? Well, here, this is, let's say you didn't love this image, just swap it out then. Or you want to delete it? Sure, delete image out of there. Now you have a blank image. And it did safety, so I think it's kind of doing an SOS type thing if I'm trying to get this correct, if what that is, but it's weak. And then I can just print, right? And then go and print them and they'll deliver. So a total of 5 minutes it took me to design a postcard. And I could change it if I wanted to, say. Now I did find this out that I have to tell each time I wanted to use Canva. But like, could you turn this into a safety brochure? Instead of a postcard? Then here you'll get a nice little brochure that's made that you can go ahead and move right over to Canva. So anyone doing any type of marketing, event promotion, safety, you just want your stuff to look cooler, and maybe you're not a graphic artist and you don't have access to a whole team of them. Even if you do have access to a whole team of them, this here is 100 times faster, right? Let's look at some of these safety guidelines. Those are pretty small, huh? We're going to open that up in Canva and see what it says. Yeah, use stat gen. So they created a whole safety card here for you to use.
That's crazy.
If you don't like that one, maybe you like how this one looks. Oh, this is an invoice. Hey, if you can bill your people for safety, why not, right?
They always say safety is expensive when I show up, so
Yeah.
track.
So that one, we'll say that's not quite a home run. It looks cool. I like the design, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can even put in like your logos and stuff too, and it'll automatically put it on sometimes. It's got
Yep.
enough memory.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't, you just open it up right in Canva, and then you just manually put it in there.
Right.
So the nice thing about doing it this way is that you can affect every piece of text inside of it instead of having to affect the whole image each time. Because every time I've re-rolled an image, it's never perfect again, right?
Right.
So it fixes what I told it to, but then it breaks something else. So this here's a good way of solving that. Anyone else want to see an example for, like Sean, if you're doing, I work at Western Technical College. Everyone's horrified by my spelling, wondering if I ever went to college. College in Wisconsin. I want to create a flyer for teachers on how they can use AI with some sample prompts. Can you generate one for me specifically for what's a what might be a good area for this?
Early education. So it's finding out the background information on Western Tech and probably getting the color scheme and all that stuff, I'm going to assume.
If it's doing its job right, it is.
Yep, got the color scheme.
Yep. So yeah, like look at that one. That was not too bad, huh?
Those are pretty decent flyers.
Yeah.
I haven't used this use case for creating flyers, so
So
But I could see
WTC, so it got the acronym of the college right.
Mm-hmm.
And
What
then
are those-
it's
what are those URLs pointing to? ReallyGreatSite.com or something? Should it say?
it's
Let me see here.
you can always adjust.
Yep, really great site.
Yeah, text is actually a really good example of things that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. But doing it this way, you can fix it. You just go in.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do
I mean,
all my flyer generation this way now.
Each place is going to have their own marketing colors and branding and all that stuff, so you could just match that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
here it
it's-
did
I
do the
mean-
research.
Like you said, it's a good starting point.
Yep.
I,
Yeah,
I think for the graphic design program, this is an interesting tool for them to explore using.
Yeah. So maybe you can create a training for the graphics design program. So we'll make all the teachers learn how to use this, and then they can start teaching it. So
hey Rod, can I show another use case I did at the summit?
yeah.
So one of the attendees at the summit he worked with Rand's Trucking up in our area here, and he was working on wanting a site map for them. And I'm like, well, I've never created a site map before, nor would I even know how to go about that. So I just typed in the basics with it. I didn't even put their website and show the locations they had. And it went through and found the locations for them here, which is spot on, correct? Kicked out the code, and then it also gave the downloadable document here. And they can add this to their website here now and use this for like demoing, and like that was a pretty surprising thing that it was. And you can change that icon. Obviously have to change the icon to something else, but this was exactly what he was looking for. And I promise you, your friend Aaron here would not have been able to do this on my own without some mountains to climb. So
Can you do rollovers for information on those or no?
I don't know what you mean by that. Sorry.
Like if you put your cursor over the icon, would it do like a pop-up? Well, it gives the location, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if I put in more prompting, it would give more detail and go from there.
Yeah, like an interactive map. Those are cool.
Yeah. And from here, once they get programmed in, I'm pretty sure they could tie it into Google Maps or whatever, so they could cite locations and get mileage from one delivery to another. And
Well, for logistics, that's cool. But I'm thinking about for like if you have a big facility like a campus or like Quick Trip, maybe for example, if they have local facilities where each business unit is located on the campus.
Yeah,
You
that
could
would be
have a map like that pop up.
And then it would, yes, you could have like walking distances or things like that, or
Yeah.
yeah.
I know at
So I did-
UWL a few years ago, we had a whole kiosk where you could walk up to and it had interactivity like that, but it was a whole I want to say $50,000 project to map the whole campus and graphics and all that, and doing it here just on the fly. It just kind of
Yeah, I think it took maybe 2 minutes.
yeah.
Well, here, you guys will be able to see this demo here. So this is a demo that I made. I made this while I was at the conference. So just while I'm listening there and I'm actually going through a different workshop thing, I threw this together. And this was before I downloaded Cursor 2, so it's even faster. But it's a full ERP system for Fuel Ops company. And if you log in as a president, you go ahead and see the Site 360, which does have these maps in it. And you click in it and you see a little depot information, view details of it. Then down it gives you, compliance history, financial for that particular location. And we could map this out as large or as small as you want. But it's an interactive one, has a AI summary, and this is all just simulated data, but it gives you the concept of, this took me probably 30 minutes to throw together from a workflow perspective. And then we could build this into being an actual application for them if they wanted to. So here, your proposal generator, knowledge base. And I had to ask the group I was talking to, is this a real, machine? And they're like, yeah, it's a machine we work with all the time. I'm like, all right, well, it has a knowledge base here for you on different aspects of it, and be able to edit it, or analytics. So it gives you anything from dashboarding. This is basically a centralized ERP solution that allows this particular client or clients to potentially replace a lot of their really expensive internal ERP systems with ones that's completely custom fit to them, and what brought it to mind is Sean's asking about the mapping. It's just something that the AI did automatically for us. And again, these are all fake, none of them are real, but so it's a cool use case for this type of to both rapid prototype, and then once you get the prototype at a point where the client would actually like it, then you just go build it. So I bet we could deploy something like that in probably under a month. So are you guys able to click into it and click around on that and play with that? I think I put it in the chat.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
So another cool use case for that was at this conference I was at, and I'm like, I'm stealing that. That's good. So it has the AI identify how AI ready is your particular website. So this one you just use, and I'll paste this prompt in there. Please score my company AI search readiness on a scale of 1 to 10, and give me the top 3 things that I should fix. My website is https Coulee.tech. I service clients with 20,000 employees and focus on AI, cybersecurity, and IT support. So obviously you change your information, but you guys can all use this prompt. It's up there. So what it'll do is it'll actually rate your website on how well and effective you are at being found by the AIs. And we've talked at this group a number of times about just how Google isn't really showing people sites to go to anymore. Google is actually just giving the information to the end user, and over 60% of searches now have no click through, and some have seen up to 80%. So in a matter of 1 year, Google went from being the number one driver of traffic to now that's cut in 1/5. And AI are quickly becoming the source of truth for where people are getting their proposals or their ideas for how do they identify who they should go. So I get a 6 out of 10. We're going to call that room for improvement. So like your clear position, your company around manage right here, your AI expected Wisconsin, free strategy, or deeper evidence of your internal AI infrastructure isn't highly visible. So it's saying that while we talk a lot about AI and we do a lot of AI things, the AIs searching the web do not see that we do a lot from an AI perspective. Clarify through AI offerings. So it does a really nice market analysis for the most part of our actual website. And I've used this information then to start working on Coulee Tech 2.0. This is just a placeholder image I wanted for the header. So if like from a service perspective on the website itself, then I went and I quick identified each area that we service. So that way each one gets a service page. So we can more better target the type of service that we're offering, as well as highlight industry specific. So that way as AI are scraping this, if someone looks for, if they are a dental office, IT providers in La Crosse that work with dental providers. Well, we want the AI to know, like, yeah, we work with dental providers. So we'll build out the different subpage associated to this and talk about the different aspects of that as a whole. And each one of these industries then get text that's highly specialized in, like auto dealerships, the new FTC safeguard rule, put them at the same level as banking because they collect customer information for loans. And so they have the sensitive information that banks have, and now they have to be secured at that level. So once this site, now something like primarily my son told me that he doesn't like all the green and stuff, so I got to fix that, and I will. I'll change that around. But off of a assessment like that, I've identified that, yeah, like all these green icons or things he didn't like them. Right, it's just too green right now. But when you look at these, this is fixing a lot of the issues that the AI are having. So to get this score up to a 10, and you can just keep rerunning this every month to see how do you increase. And if we think AI are going to become more and more a primary source of delivering us the type of people or clients or traffic that are relevant, we need to have the AI highly relevant to what we are specifically doing. Because if the AI can't find us, it's going to be very soon that people won't be able to find us. Any questions or thoughts on that? All right.
The only thing I was going to say on it, Rod, is I was a guest speaker on AI to a group of marketing professionals, and this was definitely a big topic in their wheelhouse, and trying to navigate the waters of, how they show up from an AI capacity and things like that. So very relevant. It's definitely on a lot of people's discussion points.
Well, I mean, this is kind of upending all the SEO dynamics and policies that are set in place, and all the people that are, on SEO optimization personnel, and now that's all changing.
Yeah, and changing very quickly. Because they're literally, I think Google started launching their AI summary here in January or February, and within 3 months, people were no longer clicking through the sites, and their AIs are getting better and better. Like I've even started when I'm searching Google, start treating my Google prompt or Google search thing as a prompt more than I do a search. So I'm not trying to identify the keywords. I'm talking to it like I do right here. So each of you in the areas that you guys are relevant in should try customizing this to see, are people able to find whatever it is you're looking for? Or take this to your marketing team or sales team and like, hey, our website isn't doing great. This is I have a whole binder on this stuff here. So that'll of course be borrowing ideas from. No, I got permission from them just to straight up rip it off and put my logo on, and I'll customize it for my clients a little bit and stuff like that. But the prompts they had in were just really rock solid. I really liked it. Well, anyone on the call here wants to look at? Otherwise, I'll just jump into some cursor stuff.
I
I have a question. I have a question about ChatGTP in general.
All right.
There's been times that when I give a prompt in ChatGTP, it will say, "Oh wait, I'm working on it," and nothing happens. And I will type back in, "I'm waiting," then it will rerun everything that I talked about earlier and tell me to wait. I'm working on this. I'll send you the feedback soon. And nothing happens. So in that case, what do I do?
Yeah, that happened yesterday too. It just kept saying like, "Give me an hour." I'm like, "You're not going to do it. Can you do it?" And it'd be like, "Well, no, I actually can't do that."
So I know, like, if I have deep research on, I'll have that. Do you guys have the paid for or free version?
We're paid for.
Paid for.
The $20?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now there was a lot of disruption in the Amazon world and the Azure world and
Cloud.
stuff like that. So it could have been some of their data centers were just severely under. So does this happen like in the last 2 weeks, or is this something that you guys have seen like in the last months?
I have seen it in the last month.
Yeah, it just happened for me this week.
Yeah, I had it happen last week at the summit too, but after I kind of put it in a chokehold and made it do my thing, it eventually did it. But
Yeah.
Kind of a funny but true thing I've heard, and I haven't actually tried it. But if you threaten her, if you tell it that if it doesn't answer this, someone is in danger, it has a higher chance of answering your question. Now, that runs right in some very gray ethical areas that you can go ahead and, if anyone looked at your church or your search history or your chat history, like, why do you always threaten your mother with injury unless it answers you the question and finds you a burger? It's like, well, I just kind of got used to that. It's like, I'm not sure that's a great thing to get used to doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to guess it's been the network disruptions across the world. And yeah, we had one when we were at the AI retreat even. We had a large client of ours that was just completely down, and we had to try fixing it while we're there. But or not at the, I mean, we were at the retreat, but not on the Wednesday. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I would say watch if it keeps going, but also sometimes just go ahead and start a new chat. So if your chats get too long, it'll start going a lot slower and have more harder time answering the question.
Okay.
Also, if you have it on like pro or thinking versus instant, so anytime I put something on pro, I gotta wait 10 to 15 minutes for my response. And if you have it on auto, sometimes it's just choosing which one. And if it thinks it's a hard problem, it's going to throw it on thinking, which might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. Aaron, you had a comment?
yeah, one of the questions that came up, and I've given some generalized examples to it, is using the project features within ChatGPT versus just a new chat field. Do you have examples that you could share for anybody watching, like if you used the project feature in ChatGPT versus like that? Yeah, that new projects, or that's kind of what I did there, was create one for the AI summit when I did it. But Is it reference better in here compared to just doing it in their standard chat channel? Or
Well, the
what is-
value is that you get access to files, so it works much like our coding, or like Cursor, our coding IDE, is that it can search and reference these files and then bring in certain data from these files into its context. So these are all the files we had to go through and gave everyone access to at the AI retreat. So I created a project here, so I get basically a custom prompt that has that knowledge, like what does the 30 or 60-day plan look like? And now it'll go and search through those files. Yeah, see there, search there. And now it's answering it based off those data that was inside of there.
So you didn't have to prompt it exclusively to look just at these files, but because it's a project, it knows just to look at those files?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw when I typed that in there, but it searched the files and then answered. So it searches, finds relevant info, and then moves that info into its context instead of all 16 files that have 100 or 200 pages of data. It only brings in relevant information and then will answer your question based off that relevant information. Yeah, and we could do another one too if we wanted to. List out the files you have access to. So there you can see it has access to the data inside these files. And I think you can put up to 25 files in here. And I don't know how large each one can be, but you can put a lot of data inside of there.
I mean, just for context, we're using like a tool like Notebook LM to do that, to do summaries and podcasts and in that. And this is very analogous to that, where you're looking at a select set as opposed to loading them up each time. So that's helpful.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know how, for me, it's a duplication of Cursor, and I get more control on Cursor. But if you guys aren't software developers or pretend to be a software developer like I do, this here would be a great tool for you for that. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll show some Cursor stuff, and we'll be, for the most part, done with the new stuff anyway. I mean, Cursor is new, but all right. So here, the example you guys saw earlier, this petrol thing. What is one example or enhancement you'd like to see in this tool? I'm going to say, in the Site 360, can you add 20 locations instead of the handful you have now? We're going to add a browser tab. All right. Once done, navigate to it and test it. So it's doing very similar to what you just saw in the ChatGPT projects one, that it has a file that found it. There it's adding those files in. It added a bunch of site locations, information. And it goes pretty quickly here. Then it'll navigate to it. Oh, I know what it's not doing. So you have to run Docker. So right now what it's doing is fighting because it doesn't know that I have to update it. Yeah, restart the container. So now it's researching the container, which is just restart. It's really just rebooting the computer. But if you look at the speed that it's doing everything here, it's pretty fast. And here it's seeing that it tried to add more, but for some reason only 6 are still showing. So now it's troubleshooting that. And now, right now, what it's doing is it's searching through the whole code base to try to find out how do I reset this data inside of here. And hopefully it doesn't plan too long, of course, but sometimes it'll go take 30 minutes where it'll just sit there and go back and forth. And one of the big advantages, so I've shown Cursor in a couple other meetings. So if this is your first time seeing Cursor, I don't know if that's bad or not, but you have the ability here to actually click on individual data components. And then the chat over here gets context of the exact item or element that you're clicking on here, as opposed to before we should have explained the page and where I'm having the issue. There we go. So now I'm going to say, can you make these locations across the United States and not in one town? If you had a CSV file that had all your company locations, or like you're talking a quick trip mapping project, you would just put that data in there, and then it will go ahead and build a map for you appropriately. So now it's going to go re-update all the data, but give me it all across the United States. So like Nick, I like Bauer built. If you had you could build a pretty quick safety portal that's chock full of safety incidents, a safety reporting form. So people can go online with a portal or even a handheld and submit safety review information. Let's say there's an accident, have someone go over their phone, take some pictures, and it just uploads it directly to you. And then you get a digital workflow on the backside of that would allow us, so that way, new incident, you go review it, choose where, change it to a setting, almost create like a ticketing system for safety instances across your facility, and build a nice little graph here of these are our different locations. These are the safety incidents that we've had at each one. This one here, I need to do some in-person training at because they have a higher than normal. Right? And you can also add, all stuff you can build pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
There we go. As Sean was saying, something like this was a $50,000 project just 2 years ago. And there you guys saw it live in 5 minutes. So it really, I think
8 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, but it really forced us to rethink how we solve problems. because what was cost prohibitive in the past is now the more cost effective method to solve the problem. I said this a couple times at the AI retreat, but I don't think any enterprise should be looking at buying large pieces of software unless it's financial or regulatory in nature. If it's just operation software, efficiency software, it is far more cost effective to make it. And if people don't want to make it, call someone like us that can or will. So, I mean, but either way, it just doesn't, you can see here the labor time that once was, I can tell you, this would have been hundreds of hours of work. Now it's just minutes. So we're seeing our time with clients is more spent talking to them about what they want than building what they want. Yeah, so there you have a fully tested, deployed, publicly site. So if any of you go to that link now, refresh it, it has all those new updated locations in it. So a geek like me is pretty excited about all this. What? Why did it take my browser away? I like my browser over there. Oh well. And can you make the quote screen look better? It's ugly. So this here is the example of the type of super technical details I give the AI to go rebuild some of these. Whereas before you want, well, what frameworks do you want? How do you want the layout? Do you have a design? No, I'm just telling it looks ugly. I want it to look better. And then what else do we want to add to this? Ooh, what's our context? Actually, we're going to start a new chat. In the proposal screen, can you make it look cooler like a pipeline? Add 20 examples in, please. And have a smooth workflow for managing the feeds. So there it's writing what it thinks is a newer, and none of us can type that fast. Like that's almost writing at the speed that terminals used to just return data to us. And Sean, like that's why when I'm talking to like your team members over there that are doing like the IoT or the software dev, this here's the future. Because even if you know what all that stuff is, you couldn't write it fast enough. And you'd be hard pressed to go through this code and find that it's really not as good as what a human would write.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the value added still is to understand the code, to see what it's doing, to learn how to troubleshoot it if you needed to. But AI can troubleshoot it in the future now too.
Yeah. Let me give you an example. So 2 weeks ago, and I talked about this at our AI retreat, but 2 weeks ago, we had an application that we had built over 10 years. So it was 9 million lines of code. And we end-of-lifed it back in 2018 because it would have taken about 2,000 to 4,000 labor hours to upgrade it to a modern version of PHP. And so none of our clients wanted to pay that to be... no, it's kind of like having to redo all the pipes in your house. You get no value off of it, but it's really expensive to do, right? It's not like you're getting a new bathroom out of it. Your pipes are bad. You have to put new pipes in or a septic field. You're still using everything the same. Well, we had so Tim has a little more advanced workflow on this. My brother and co-owner of Coulee Tech. We put this piece of software, this 9 million line piece of software in there. After 4 prompts, 24 hours later, it was fully updated to PHP 8 with unit tests on every single endpoint and function that was inside of it, and documentation on code portions that were not used, as well as files that weren't used. And it gave us a document that showed users how to use the software itself. So like after it did that, Tim and I really just came to the conclusion that we're not concerned about having to understand any of the code anymore. The AI just knocked it out of the park. And that had been Tim and mine's, like, because we built the system. We knew it inside and out. We could have answered any of the questions because that's how we spent the first decade of our career.
Mm-hmm.
But it, without any context or knowledge about how it works, how the database works, how any of it worked, it fully upgraded it successfully. When we went and tested it, it works. Like there's advanced scheduling inside of it and advanced, I mean, there's tons and tons. I mean, yeah, think of 10 years of developer. And I had at one time 5 developers working on this full time. So it was tons of, rat nest code and undocumented. And the AI just figured it out, upgraded it, fixed it, and it works. We also tested at the AI workshop. There was someone there that had an old .NET 1.1 item that they had shut down because it was so old, but everyone loved it, but it's non-supportable anymore. It upgraded to a modern version of .NET as well, without humans ever looking at anything that was being done.
My biggest concern is I'm all for it doing all that, but I'm also for the sitting down with it and saying, explain these parts to me from a kind of 50,000 foot view, just so that I have a broad understanding of what we're doing here, because it can get away from you.
Yep. So the first thing that, actually, that's an excellent point. So there's a new feature here. Actually, I'm going to start a new chat. I would like you to look at the Petro item in public SF and give me a project plan explaining what is happening and what could be advanced. So Composer added a plan feature. So it can either look at an existing code base or a new project, and it will go and do all the research, identify and document what it is currently, and then plan forward what it is you're looking at doing. So here's its plan. Here's its documented of how this tool works. So it looked at it and correctly identified that it's just a demo app. It doesn't have any actual back-end stuff. And then I could go ahead and update it. This is great. Could you create a plan for me to review on taking this app and making it production? I want my SQL database, create a sample data structure and detailed plans for each page, file, and function on how to do this. So now what it's doing is it's taking this demo one and it's going to create a plan that will actually move us forward and get it. So here it's creating its table structure, accounts, sites.
So let me just ask this technically. Using this tool, does it have access to your local server to host all this information?
All these are test servers that we're doing on.
Okay. So, I mean, this is a cloud-based tool, and is a cloud-based tool running to store these files locally on a test server then?
Yep. And then we just run into production once we're ready to go.
Okay.
And it creates its own migration scripts and all that stuff. So we have like I can run it locally on my computer if I wanted to, and then you have to obviously a single file or get a web server up on your local computer. But the AI here can help you figure out how to do that. You can have it run on. We have like DigitalOcean, where we have a couple of these on there for like this one here. I think goes to DigitalOcean, and that's so I can have it a location that you guys can actually view. We have some that has access to sensitive information, but that's highly locked down to inside Coulee Tech's corporate. So you have to be in our network with an authenticated computer that has access on our local secure network in order to view or use any of the data. And that one is read-only data that it doesn't, unless Tim creates a special endpoint that allows us to move data over, but then we can only access, we don't get access to databasing, we just get access to APIs. So it's like you do an API key. Anything higher level than that, Tim needs to be involved in.
So let me ask this question. This is doing a lot of SQL table creation. Are you running with a full SQL product, or using like an Apache Linux Freebase SQL thing that it creates?
We've done Mongo unstructured. We've done SQL. We've done. I mean, you just tell it what you want to run, and it will actually set up the database for you, and then create the database, and then integrate the database.
So it generates all the license keys and all the securities and permissions and everything.
Yep. Because one of the things you can do here is then have run this against the software and say, what are the security vulnerabilities? Please act as a security specialist, and what are the known vulnerabilities? You can use a MITAR framework if you wanted to, or whatever industry framework you want to do, but it can go do a security assessment then against that. But yeah, so here you look, like this is all your table structure, right? I mean,
right.
Just creating this table structure would have taken a month or two of work from a human normally. So this is literally just going forward and creating the project plan to actually make this app live. And then if I told it to execute, I'd come back 2 hours later and I would have a working app. And if you look like your accounts, when you run this past your sniff test, that's a pretty, if any project manager came to you and told you, here's a structure I'm looking at creating, you would say, that looks great. It's like straight up magic. I mean, it's really what it feels like. It feels like you're Tony Stark talking to Jarvis. Make me an application that can track a petrol industry. I want this and this, this. And Jarvis is back. Yes, sir. Here you go.
So, Rodney, what's your take on the other kind of tools that they have out there, like Base 44 and some of the other AI website generating tools that are available now?
Those are all middleware, and the reason I don't like them is that they're going to tie you into their middleware. So like I can go and create raw HTML sites as quickly as any of those template sites can. And if they come up with a cool design, I can point my AI to their design and say, hey, can you emulate this design on my site? And it'll pull over and re-emulate it on mine. So I would rather not be tied to middleware. Like here, I use Cursor, but I could switch to any IDE I wanted to and do the same thing. Because as you're seeing, this doesn't have any actual info on my company or on my projects or any. It finds it out and then starts moving forward. And that has been a big thing we've been testing with. In fact, I'm looking, if any of you out there have a use case where you're like, I don't think the AI could do this, I would love it. I was at a cybersecurity conference today with 400 IT providers, and I'm asking them, give me an example. I want to see where this can't go, because so far it has blown me out of the water with how impressed I have been with every aspect of what it's been able to do. Like I haven't found its limit yet. Now I found how to do things really expensively, but I haven't found where the limit is. So, and I have some of the IT providers go out there. They have this project that's huge, and the client doesn't want to go away from what they have to. I'm just telling them, send it to me. I just want to see if I can upgrade it. But anyway, your takeaway from that just be like, really look like this week as you're out at your jobs. What are things that could be reimagined if software development wasn't a constraint? Like if you could redesign every app where you walk in, your emails all come in, they've been filtered, they go through. If you could just redesign everything you're doing, and it could be from everything to just one little thing that annoys the daylights out of you. And what would be a solution? What would you want to happen? Because we all have this stuff where we're moving data from here to here, and it takes an hour or two, and we're like, there's no need. I'm moving stuff from a computer to a computer. The computer knows it all. I don't need to do this. And to me, that annoys the daylights out of me. When all the data is in the same spot and I'm just moving it back and forth, and I know I don't have to, and I'm doing it anyway, I'm like, no, forget that. I'm making applications now that do that. Yeah, I think this is still actually writing. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I got to go into Milwaukee. Any other final questions?
No, that gives me a few ideas for things to look at and play with this week. Thank you, Rodney.
Yep.
Right.
And Cursor right now, from my understanding, is you can get a 1-week free trial of this. So if you want to go hop in on the weekend and just play around with it, go give it a shot.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining up.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye,
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.